Hello everybody. We are going to do some improvisation today with the G major scale and the G major pentatonic scale, both open. So you've watched the video, hopefully, and you know the G major scale, which sounds like this, and the G major pentatonic scale, which sounds like this. So G major, 0-2-4-5, 0-2-4-5, and then G major pentatonic, 0-2-4, 0-2-5. These are both single octave scales. What we're going to do today is learn to improvise a little bit. So when you're improvising, you have to think like a singer. Make sure when you play a little bit, you take a break, take a breath, as a singer would, and don't try to constantly play. Try to come up with an idea and let that idea just kind of sit over the chords. Once you hear it, if it was a good idea, you can repeat that. And if it wasn't such a good idea, you want to expand on that. Try to do something with it to make it better. If you ever land on a note that doesn't seem to sound right, usually the note that does sound right is either a scale degree backwards or a scale degree forwards. So just for example, if I play a G chord and you play an F sharp note, doesn't sound great, but if you just move up to G, it will fit. And if I play a D chord and you play an E, the F sharp that would fit is right above. Or here's the D chord again, and you play the note E, right below that is the note D, which also fits. So don't feel like if you hit a bad note that it's really a bad note. What that note is a note that would work really well as a passing tone. It's just a pathway to a note that would sound better over the chord. So we generally talk about notes that sound good over the chord as well, chord tones. So in a G chord, you'll have certain notes that always sound good, other notes that don't sound bad, but they do sort of have to act as passing notes. For example, the G chord has a G and a B, and in between those two notes, there's an A. So if you want to play over a G chord, you might play G and B, or you might play G, A, B, but you wouldn't stop on the A note because it would sound like this. It doesn't really fit, but if you do this, it does fit. So listen for that. Listen for the notes that really seem to sink into the chord and fit well, and for the notes that seem to stand out and not fit so well, and see if you can learn to distinguish those and then move to the right note if you're not on a note that fits. And then if you are on the right note, learn how to get to a different note that's also a part of the chord kind of quickly. So on a G chord, you're on the G, the F sharp doesn't really fit, the E doesn't really fit, but the D does. So maybe you can learn to play from G down to D, or vice versa. And you'll develop a sense of this as you get more experience. Now, I'm going to play a couple of chords, and what I want you to do to start with is just run the scale. So as I strum, I want you to do this, just 0-2-4-5, 0-2-4-5, maybe backwards. And that's the major scale. So if you're using that, that's fine. If you're using the major pentatonic, just do the same thing with that. And then as you start to get used to the scale, start to listen to how the notes fit over the chords. And as you replay this video over and over, you'll get used to trying to pick the right notes, and you'll develop that sense of how things kind of fit together. So we will talk a lot more about this in another video series when we get into a little bit of the theory of how these things work. But for now, let's just use our ears and see if we can kind of get that sense developed. So I'll give you a chord progression in G. I'm going to be playing a G, a C, and a D, all major chords. And I'll let you kind of just play over it and get a feel for this. So here we go. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it probably isn't going to be comfortable the first couple of times you do it, and then you'll develop that sense and you'll get more and more used to it. And we'll do a lot more of this as we go along, but we'll start to change keys and do things differently as we go. So hope that helps, and we'll see you in another video. Thanks.